What's up, everybody? It's Yeong here, and welcome to a Fallout 4 discussion. Today I want to talk about Fallout 4's graphics, which is getting mixed reviews from people. Some people are saying, it looks fine. Others are saying there's something about it that, just looks a bit dated. My take on it is that Fallout 4 may perhaps look cartoony. Maybe that's what Bethesda is going for. I don't know if consciously or subconsciously, but to me the graphics look cartoony, and I want to discuss possible reasons for why that is. Yeah, it's weird. When I look at the trailer, I was thinking this kind of reminds me of Pixar, like slightly. It looks a bit Pixar-esque in terms of the color palette and just the look in general. I don't know if it's just me, especially when it comes to the pre-war stuff. When I look at that, it's got this very kind of Pixar-y, clean look to everything, very colorful, and it's very interesting. I found myself a bit confused, but also kind of intrigued. And yeah, I think a big part of it has to do with the color palette. I mean, there's a lot of like murky textures if you look at the post-apocalyptic stuff, but at the same time, everything is just colorful. Colors just pop. Everything's kind of saturated, and honestly, even if you look at the characters, like look at the protagonist and the dog, I feel like they would blend right into something like Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Like, I put Mario and Luigi side by side with the protagonist in his vault jumpsuit, and I swear to God, in my eyes, sort of the blues have this very similar, colorful, bright palette. And I put the dog side by side with Fox, and I feel like they kind of blend right in. They have this sort of cartoony look with a lot of texture, and that also is very similar to what Pixar does often. They have these very bright and colorful looking movies, but there's a lot of texture to all the surfaces and what have you. It's interesting. I don't know. Maybe I am going on this crazy nonsensical tantrum, but that's just my opinion. That's just what I see. Now, I would argue that Fallout has always had cartoony elements, especially with like the Vault Boy stuff. So I feel like it doesn't terribly separate itself from what it was before when it comes to the graphics, because when you think about it, Fallout has always had a lot of satirical parody elements that kind of make fun of certain aspects of the real world. Stuff like the radio stations, I feel like they are parodies and over-exaggerations of some of the stuff we may find in the real world, and just a bunch of other things. Again, the Vault Boy stuff, the brands that you see around, all the product placements of stuff like Nuka-Cola and what have you, the weapons, the way they name it, it's all kind of very satirical. You kind of chuckle at a lot of things that Fallout presents, and that's always been there since the first Fallout game, and I feel like Bethesda kind of gets that. So in that sense, adding some cartoony graphics, like a bit of that, it kind of works in my opinion. Another example of something similar is GTA 5. I don't know if it's just me, but when I look at that game, I see something somewhat cartoony, and it works because GTA 5 is so satirical and comical. It has all these elements that you chuckle at, and in that sense, Fallout and GTA 5, they share these resemblances in that sense. And I don't think there's anything wrong if Bethesda really is going for something cartoony. I don't think it's gonna diminish the game. I think it throws some people off, especially after what they did with Fallout 3, which was very murky and very dark, and it always had this sort of post-apocalyptic filter to it, that green, but I think they are heading towards a new direction here. And for those who don't think this will work, because, I know Fallout does have its serious moments, but again, look at GTA 5, which has the violence, has the serious moments, but manages to still remain satirical. And same with something like BioShock Infinite. That game definitely has some Pixar elements to it, just over-exaggerated features, especially the eyes, and yet that game manages to be frightening, intense, mature. It has all this violence, and everything just kind of works. And also BioShock Infinite is a satire of sort of America. You know, it has all these American elements in, what's it called? The City in the Sky, I forget what it's called, but it has all these, you know, the propagandas and all this other stuff that kind of makes fun of some of the stuff in our real life. And I think games like that can go for cartoony graphics without it being terrible, as long as they know how to strike a good balance, as long as they don't overdo the cartoony graphics. And another thought that I have is that Bethesda might have purposely gone for cartoony graphics because artistic, you know, decision, again with the satirical stuff and wanting to make a sort of brighter Fallout that is a little more satirical maybe, but also maybe because they wanted to choose an art style that wouldn't have a huge toll on the graphics, so that they can optimize the graphics and focus more on openness and, you know, seamlessness of the world. So open, seamless worlds rather than pushing tons of pixels and polygons. That would be my theory if Bethesda actually did this on purpose, if they consciously said, let's go for something cartoony. And I have a feeling that that's what their train of thought was. In my opinion, Fallout 4 looks too blatantly cartoony for me to just kind of ignore, for anyone to ignore, really. Again, with the comparison between the Smash Brothers characters with the models found in the game, I feel like they would blend right in together. So those are my thoughts. I don't know if I'm speaking crazy right now, if I'm the only one who thinks this. That's just what popped up in my mind when I laid eyes on the trailer, but to me it makes sense, and it's different, and I think I like that they're not just going for Fallout 3.5, they're going for Fallout 4. And also a huge reason for the brighter colors, I think, has to do with the fact that the world of Fallout 4 is sort of healing itself. I think a lot of the radiation is beginning to disappear with the amount of time that has passed. I don't know if you notice in the background, there are these huge cities, and a lot of it is under construction. Everything looks a little bit more lively, like you see a little bit more nature in my eyes. You just see a world that is less hopeless. It's a little more brimming with life, and I think that in large part maybe has to do with the events of Fallout 3, where the Lone Wanderer succeeded with Project Purity, and therefore the world was kind of cleaned up a bit. And that's why I believe that Fallout 4 takes place a good chunk of time after Fallout 3 and even after New Vegas. You know, because even if the Lone Wanderer did succeed with Project Purity, it would take some time for that to kind of really begin to take effect on a massive level, on a worldwide level. And I think maybe Fallout 4 is in a place where that's beginning to happen. And maybe the theme of Fallout 4 is, you know, healing, revival, rebuilding the world, something along those lines. And that, I think, would be different. It would be cool. It would separate Fallout 4 from all the other Fallouts out there. It would make it Fallout 4 and not Fallout 3.5. So if they are going for that direction, I wouldn't complain. I think that's that would be a pretty cool idea. But it's also possible that Fallout 4 takes place shortly after the pre-war, which to me wouldn't make much sense, because right after a nuke hits, that's the worst, you know, time to be. If it takes place shortly after the Great War, I feel like that's when the world would be most decimated. But what gives me a little bit of doubt about my other theory that it takes place long after Fallout 3. What has me thinking that there's a small chance that it takes place shortly after the Great War is that a lot of the historical structures, they look in pretty good shape. I don't know if they maybe cleaned it up after, you know, the world began rebuilding itself or whatever, but just the historical structures look very clean, like it hasn't been inhabited by mutants, like it hasn't been shit on for a long time, like you see in Fallout 3. Everything is just decimated. Everything looks decayed. Here, everything looks kind of like it's in progress of decaying. But again, hard to say. But I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna stick with the theory that Fallout 4 takes place a good chunk of time after Fallout 3, and that the world is rebuilding. And I think that plays a lot into the cartoonier graphics, the more hopeful looking graphics. But again, that doesn't mean that Fallout 4 won't be violent. I mean, VATS is gonna make a return, I'm sure. There's gonna be guts spilled everywhere, and games like GTA 5 and BioShock Infinite have proven that cartoony graphics doesn't mean that the game is gonna be cartoony, that the game is gonna be for kids or anything along those lines. The game can still be mature with cartoony graphics. And these are just my thoughts, but I would love to hear what you think in the comments below. Are Fallout 4's graphics cartoony? Am I crazy, or do you guys see it too? And if so, do you agree with this? Do you think it can work? Let me know in the comments below. And to be further updated on Fallout 4 and for more Fallout 4 discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.